Coming up next on All About Android, we're talking all about Android 12L for large screens and why the Nvidia Shield update is not all that it's cracked up to be. We've also got some Samsung news, some Pixel foldable news, and we've got some unfortunate news about how much you're about to pay for Netflix. We've got so much more than this coming up right next, right here on All About Android.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by BetterHelp. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/android. And by Imperfect Foods. Imperfect Foods is catching the food that's falling through the cracks of our food system by sourcing quirky yet delicious foods. Right now, Imperfect Foods is offering our listeners 20% off your first 4 orders when you go to imperfectfoods.com and use promo code ANDROID.
Welcome to All About Android, episode number 560, recorded on January 18th, 2022. We are your weekly source for the latest news, apps, and hardware for the Android faithful. I'm Florence Zion.
And I'm Ron Richards. And Florence, it is so great to see you. Good to have you back here on your first show of 2022, right?
Yes, it's true. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. Unfortunately, we want to wish a happy birthday. Not unfortunately. Unfortunately, Jason couldn't be here this week. He's out. And we want to wish a very happy birthday and a very fortunate birthday to Hwin, who is celebrating her birthday this week.
Happy birthday, Hwin.
But we're even more excited to welcome our guest this week, my friend, your friend, none other than Mr. Patrick Norton. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm just delighted it's not unfortunate that I'm here.
That's true.
I was like, wow, Ron.
I do like Patrick has earned the right for our video watchers of a lower third that says the Patrick Norton, because there is the only, the Patrick Norton.
Nice.
I just thought Burke was mocking me. We go back, Burke and I.
Indeed. But it is early in the year and we've already started tons of controversy. I know all week I've been getting messages about the iOS versus Google RCS conversation. We're going to talk about it later in the show, so stay tuned, but we're going to get back to it because I know a lot of folks wrote in and things like that. So I'm excited for it. But Flo, how are you doing now that you're back in 22?
How am I doing? Well, do you want the real answer or do you want the straight answer? How about I give you the straight answer? The straight answer is I have no idea. I mean, I ventured out of just Bandai Tamagotchi. So I'm going into Takara Tomy Tamagotchi-like characters now. So I found some new forks.
All right. Well, that seems like a good as time as ever to let's talk about some Android news. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Save us, Burke. Save us.
Then this Android news is about updates, pretty much. That's it.
It's true. That's true. That's pretty it. We've got a lot of updates that have been happening the last couple of weeks, which what else is going to happen at the beginning of the year when it's like, I guess, quiet and I guess we're like supposed to be reflecting or something. I don't know. What I do know is that Google has rolled out the second beta for Android 12L. And for those of you, just a little refresher, Android 12L is the version of Android that I like to say L is for large screens. That's how I kind of remember it. Even though it's technically for folding screens, it's supposed to fit a screen.
Well, it's supposed to be tablet optimized as well, too. I mean, it's large screens, basically. Yeah. So
correct. Large screens. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Now, before you get excited, this is just kind of an incremental update that was announced, but it's good news just for like the general existence of it because now devs are encouraged to start final compatibility testing for apps, SDKs, and libraries, as well as release compatible versions and compile apps against official API 32 SDK if needed. This is pulled from Google for any devs who are listening. That said, despite this being just an incremental update, there are some new features added to it from the folks over at 9to5 Google and a couple of other blogs who have been, just really going in there and seeing what's there. We've got some new features like an at-a-glance opens now. The at-a-glance area opens the Google Calendar now, which previously it did not, which was kind of like a a feature. Why was it not there before? Some like new shortcuts added to the P&P window. That's the picture-in-picture. More rounded corners at the bottom. There's like all these little, again, incremental update.
Subtle.
Yeah, it really is just subtle. The other thing about this that's just kind of weird reporting on it is it's not like the betas of the past. You can't just like go and download it if you want to become a part of the program. You will have to actually flash it to a Pixel device if that's where I think they're now available for the Pixel or an Android emulator. Or if you've got the Lenovo Tab P12 Pro, it's going to get a beta update soon. So limited beta release, but good news for the end result, which is why we're reporting on it. So yay.
Do you know what that Lenovo? You know what that Lenovo device is, Flo? That's a tablet.
It's a large
screen. That's a large screen. Yeah.
Large screen. Yeah. That's right.
Patrick, have you gotten to play with Android 12 at all yet, or?
Not even a little bit. At this point, my Android devices are basically running tools, and I have been very, very meticulous about not upgrading anything until somebody else tells me like whether or not it works with the thing I have attached to it.
You can't break your system. I understand that. You got a workbench, right? It's got a
yeah. So it's been super chill in the upgrades. I also, at some point, I will be really honest, I have to be really excited about something in beta to go anywhere near a beta on a phone after a couple of near breaking incidents a few years ago. And I just, my enthusiasm for loading stuff just started to taper off in a really significant way.
When your machine is just running like very smoothly, there's nothing that you want to do to break that machine. You just want to keep it going. Yeah. Otherwise, if the machine breaks, you might have to actually stare in the mirror for the first time in your life. And sorry.
No, we can avoid that. We can totally avoid that. I'm also laughing because like I get all of the updates I don't need excitement randomly out of Windows. So, my tolerance for that on other platforms is just fallen off a cliff. Like, oh, Windows broke an audio driver. Except that it's an audio driver built into Windows. So,
do you torture yourself with Windows as well, Patrick? That's good to know.
It's a lifestyle choice.
Yeah, it is.
It's when it runs, it's cheap.
Listen. It's like driving the same car since high school.
I got off that train years ago, and I've never looked back, my friends. I just I can't even.
At one point, I always had to run both platforms because of viewer questions, or like I was running like OS 10 and Windows. I have some friends that have been editing on the new MacBooks, and one of whom runs a hardware site. So he has some of the most powerful processors you can run Windows on. And he picked up his wife's laptop. And he was like, I burst into tears. I was just like, he's just so upset. He was like, it's so much faster on this laptop that weighs nothing. It has the little processor. And he's just like,
I will say, and I know this will come out of, in stark contrast to some of the comments I made last week in regards to Apple. I did get my wife the M1 processor-based MacBook Air for Christmas, right? Because she needed a new laptop.
Good husband.
Well, I realized. I mean, I sneakily checked and I saw she was running like a 2015 MacBook Air, and I'm like, oh god, it's like 60. Like I feel like 5 years is the right amount of time to rotate it out. And I gotta admit, I was setting it up, and I was like, you know how when you just sit down at a new computer, and especially one with a new processor like that, and you're like, oh, this feels nice. Like it's kind of like getting into that car, like getting fast. Getting into a Maserati and be like, and so I put it through a couple of its paces. I got her all set up, and then I was like, let me see how this goes. And I was like, oh, this is snappy. So like, I will give them credit. It seems like the M1 is the real deal. And I'm kind of jealous with my I saw they had the M1 Mac Minis. I kind of want to just get rid of the one I got like 2-3 years ago and get one of those. But I don't know. Anyway, we're so far off topic. Flo, it's weird though, because 12L is, mainly for to accommodate foldables and accommodate, larger screens. Like as a Pixel user, this this is not something that I'm like, oh, I can't wait till I can have this, right? Like how much of it is going to impact the everyday Pixel users?
I would imagine it won't.
Right. Exactly.
And that's why I'm just kind of like not going to go through the pain of trying to put this thing on any of the Pixels I have around here because I just don't. Right. I'm not going to get the full use case for it. I am, however, looking into that Lenovo situation because I would like to try 12L for the large screen.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I don't have the Lenovo 12, but I have the Lenovo whatever. I got the one right before it, obviously at the cheaper price. And I love that device. I'm telling you, this is the year of the tablet. I'm excited. Tablets are making a resurgence. I think it's going to be big. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I think you're right, especially with we didn't include it in today's show, but especially with just some rumors that have been popping up about Samsung and tablets coming up. So I feel like Ron, you might be onto something. 2022.
What are those rumors?
Oh, well, we've been, again, not in the rundown, so I'm just going off of the top of my head. But there have been some rumors about the next, Galaxy Tab S tablets that are coming through. And I really liked the Galaxy Tab S7 Fan Edition. I actually reviewed it last year. So I think I think I wouldn't be surprised if those laptop makers were the ones that decided to come out with Android tablets, specifically Chromebook laptop makers, let's say. Although Lenovo doesn't. Yeah.
Well, I guess the line is blurring between, especially with the convertibles and things like that. What is a tablet versus what is a laptop? Can a tablet become just a laptop with a snap-on keyboard? Like what? I don't know. I just feel like we're getting ready as a culture to evolve it. So
we hope anyway.
Yes.
We hope, yeah, I know. I just want that Star Trek reality, Patrick. That's all I want.
I would also love to travel from place to place without having to physically move my body.
Yep. I'm with you.
Well, moving on. So for those of us with Pixel phones looking for updates and things like that, you might have remembered when the software patch for Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro came out in December. It was great because it had a ton of fixes and stuff like that. But then it also broke cell reception on Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. So they reduced signal strength. So they pulled that back. But it's nice to see now that the January update is out, and it brings all the changes initially promised with the December update, along with a bunch of improvements for older devices.
This time it works.
Yeah, exactly. So in addition to and Patrick, you're gonna love this one. I want to see if you heard about this problem. But in addition to Pixel 6 specific bug fixes, it includes the patch for the Microsoft Teams related 911 glitch. Did you hear about that, Patrick? When somebody couldn't call 911 because of a conflict with Microsoft Teams?
Yes. Yeah. It's so profoundly, epically wrong. I also have a lot of issues with Teams and the entire Microsoft suite in general right now. But yeah, that was a spectacular oops. Like part of me is like, wow, I bet that's really big in the testing on a lot of apps for developers now. We broke 911.
Imagine like a QA tester who like has to create a new path of tests to install Microsoft Teams on the device and ensure your software still works, right? Like that's just horrible. But anyway, so it has a patch for that one, as well as the reintroduction of cast volume controls, which I know we were all talking about. And while the cell signal issues were a huge problem for Pixel 6 owners, it's important to note that this patch being available again and them fixing those issues makes over 100 changes and improvements to the phone. So when you get it, don't be that wary against installing it, because it's actually going to improve things and fix things. And you got to hope that cell signal issue doesn't repeat itself, or Google's gotten a little more on top of things with the kind of bumpy rollout of the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, despite all the positive reviews about the devices.
This seems like the roughest rollout they've had for a flagship ever. Or am I just tuning out something that happened in the past?
No, I think you're right, and it's even more juxtaposed by the success of the device. Like how many sites made the Pixel 6 Pro like their phone of the year, and then it's followed by this bumpy rollout. I don't know, Flo, you're closer to it than I am. Do you think has there been a rollout less bumpy or bumpier than this?
It's just hard because if you like ask a random Pixel owner, they'll be like, yeah, I've had no problems with my Pixel 6 or 6 Pro. But it's like at the same time, every day I log on to my RSS feeds and I just see like new complaints, filling up like the Android blogs. And so even on Reddit, like I'll just be going through my Reddit feeds. I'm trying to log on there to see what's going on with the sister wives. But instead, I'm being presented with all of this like awful stuff that's happening with the Pixel. So it's, it's rough out there for reality TV lover who is just trying to get her news, but also follows the Pixel.
Jeez.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's awkward when you get this is the best Android phone we've ever tested, right up until the second or third week you're using it when you update it.
Well, I will say from my own personal experience. So, Patrick, it is my daily driver. I'm on the Pixel 6, right? And it's
wonderful. You've never had a problem.
It's fantastic to it as long as I don't leave the house. The moment I leave the house and go off of Wi-Fi, the battery drains faster than I think a phone I've had in a long time.
Ron, I will tell you, I apologize for interrupting, but I just want to add that this is something I've also found with the OnePlus 9.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Once I leave the house and you log on, are you on 5G? Is that why?
Yeah. So when I'm on 5G, that's what it does. It's the power management with the 5G modem. They have not figured out how to optimize it yet.
Yeah. Oh my God, our phones, my husband's using the OnePlus 9 Pro, I'm using the OnePlus 9, and both of us, our batteries were just getting eaten through as we were out the other day, both on Verizon.
Well, and we might not have that much of a problem anymore because I saw that the airlines are lobbying the Biden administration to get involved with blocking 5G because apparently it's causing some plane interference. So the 5G rollout, I feel, has gone as smooth as the Pixel 6 rollout. Yeah. So.
Shall we move on
Patrick,
to the next?
I'm glad, Patrick, you appreciated my I can't leave the house with my phone problem. So
sorry, that was I had a phone that did that many years ago. It was a very cheap Android phone, and I just remember being like, "This phone's great as long as it's connected to Wi-Fi, and I don't try to make a phone call." Wait a minute.
Well, hopefully this patch is supposed to fix lots of things, and hopefully that's one of them. Like they have acknowledged that they know it's a problem and they're working on it. So I have faith in Google to take care of my needs. So I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, let me tell you, I don't have faith in Samsung keeping its date with me because apparently it can't even show up to one of its own processor reveal events.
Ouch.
Rude. So apparently we were all anticipating the Exynos 2200 that was supposed to launch on January 11th. And well, it's January 18th when we were doing the show and nothing. There's nothing. Now Samsung didn't cancel or delay the event. They were just a no-show. They didn't show up. Exynos 2200 was supposed to be a major launch for Samsung because everyone was talking, oh my God, this is going to have an AMD GPU embedded inside. Oh my God, this is so great for the industry, etc. It's not happening. Or at least we don't know if it's happening until it's supposed reschedule for February 8th. We're all still wondering, will Samsung show up?
That is so weird.
I mean, it's supply chain. I mean, I feel like everything is being delayed or whatever. they still don't have Samsung?
Even if the supply chain falls apart, you still don't abandon an announcement after you tease it with the media. That just seems what I mean? This isn't like, hey, my name's Bob. Yeah, if I'm Bob and I'm launching a new saw blade, Bob's Saw Blades, and I don't show up for the announcement, I'm probably drunk. Samsung doesn't show up for their own. This is a big company. That's a little weird. What would cause you to ghost on your own events? That would be like Intel or Microsoft or Google. I mean, it's that big a company.
Oh, it's like, sorry, the processor we told you about, not happening. We're not going to show up. You'd be like, what?
I would expect this from OnePlus, not from Samsung. Right? I feel like if anybody's going to ghost, it's going to be OnePlus.
If it was Intel or Nvidia, they'd be like, I mean, unless somebody finally like blew a whistle and like, oh yeah, the processor doesn't work, or they canceled it, or we don't have the licensing for the critical, like what would, even then you'd still probably do something, like unless the entire project just crater, you know what I mean? Like most companies are going to be like, oh, wait. Do we have a comment?
Oh, it looks like we have a comment. So, there was a follow-up content that I did not put into the notes, so you can blame me for that. Burke, if you wouldn't mind bring that up again, because I'm reading off of the screen. Okay, so let's see. Samsung had finally made a comment, planning to unveil a new processor at the time of launching a new Samsung smartphone. They did not say which Samsung smartphone would include the unveiling of the Exynos 2200, but everyone assumes it's the Galaxy S22. This is from Ars Technica. Samsung also did not address why it canceled an Exynos event and didn't tell anyone. The spokesperson added, there are no problems with the AP's production and performance.
Or are there?
All right.
Sorry, I was reading ahead to the second paragraph there. And then the rumor mill fired up.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have to wait and see at this point. I do think that there is absolute validity in the fact that we are probably just going to see this be debuted with whatever their next flagship is, because it's like right around the corner in terms of calendar time.
Yeah, I mean it's 20 days or so. Like it's not even that's, I mean, I guess this is weird. This is definitely in the weird category. And I think, Patrick, you have a great point. And like, you don't just, like a big company like this doesn't just like not make a comment, but right. But yeah, so whatever. I mean, it's weird. We live in weird times. And supply chain. I just like blaming everything on supply chain. So yeah, sorry, I was late for that meeting. Supply chain. So. Well,
I mean, the second half of that update at the bottom of the Ars Technica story, quote, after nailing the news of the event cancellation, Ice Universe added on Sino Weibo that the AMD GPU is having problems, specifically heat problems. The target frequency is apparently 1.9 gigahertz, but the companies are currently only seeing reasonable thermals at 1.29 gigahertz, end quote. And then reports of infighting at Samsung about who screwed up. That would be a big deal. I feel your performance would be spectacularly off if you could only hit 1.29 gigahertz and you're supposed to hit 1.9. But ouch.
Ooh.
But still,
the supply chain.
Just ghost on an announcement.
Supply chain.
Well, yeah.
So, well, let's we'll stay tuned for that to see what comes of it. Over the next couple of weeks, right, Flo? So.
Yeah. All right.
Exactly. Well, we're going to take a pause and thank our first sponsor of the evening. And we want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode of All About Android. And let's listen, it's a new year. Let's take a step back. Let's reflect. Is something preventing you from achieving your goals? And really, like, what interferes with your happiness? You should check out betterhelp.com/Android. And I know what you're thinking, a lot of BetterHelp, therapy, things like that, or whatever. Listen. It's the 21st century. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I've gone to therapy. It's been immensely helpful. I wish that things like BetterHelp were around years ago when I first went into therapy to get some help, because everybody needs a little helping hand every once in a while. And BetterHelp is making it so easy now to find the help that you need and potentially get you the support that you need to help you get through all the challenges that life brings. BetterHelp will assist your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist, connect in a safe and private online environment. It's so convenient, and you can start communicating in under 48 hours. And listen, it's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online. You send a message to your counselor anytime. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, all without ever having to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. The service is available for clients worldwide, and you can find the particular expertise you need online. Don't limit yourself to the counselors located near you. You'll find licensed professional counselors who are specialized in depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, sleeping, trauma, anger, family conflicts, LGBTQ matters, grief, self-esteem. They've got it covered. No matter what you're going through, someone wants to help you. Someone's there to help you. Anything you share is confidential, convenient, professional, and affordable. Check out the testimonials posted daily on their site. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. So I want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/Android. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Android. And thanks, BetterHelp, for making us a little bit better every day and for sponsoring this episode of All About Android. And with that, let's dive into some hardware. All right. I tried to do my best Jason hardware voice. All right. But that said, we were talking about Android 12L, and Android 12L is rumored to be the adjustment that the operating system needs to support a Pixel foldable device. And as we've been tracking this rumor through 2021, Google's doing a foldable. They're not doing a foldable. But wait, this report says they bought the glass. Oh no, but it's not coming out. Blah blah blah. Well, now it looks like we have some hard proof that a foldable is on the way, and that it actually might look more like the Oppo Find N than the Samsung Galaxy Fold. In the Android 12L Beta 2 that Flo was talking about earlier, the folks at 9to5 Google discovered new animations that show how to insert a SIM card into a foldable phone. And the animations appear similar to the animations used when setting up your phone today during the stage of where it asks you to put in your SIM card or your eSIM. And if you look at some of the stuff that was posted on the 9to5 Google article, they have the animations and they show it looks like the foldable. It looks really pretty damning in terms of that. It looks like it's a foldable. Additionally, and there it is for our video watchers. You see that kind of wide device there with the crease down the middle that looks like a foldable phone. And also hidden in the code in the animation was reference to the Pixel Fold's code name, which is Pipit, P-I-P-I-T. So I don't know. I'm excited. So Patrick, I know it's been a while since we had you back on the show. I'm obsessed with foldables. I think that they are both wonderful and ridiculous and the future of phones. And the weirder the foldable, the better. Like, I don't know if you've seen any of the ones that are like origami, whatever, that fold into themselves. But, and the fact that, and I feel like foldables made huge strides in 2021 with what Samsung, with the two devices Samsung put out. But I feel like it won't be real until Google adopts it and releases a Pixel one. And it looks like that might be coming. So
so this is a question for Florence. This is a question for Ryan. This is a question for both of you. Have either one of you carried a foldable phone for any extended period of time? Okay.
Yes.
I have not.
What did you think, Florence?
Well, I still have it over here. It's not on right now, but I was using this Galaxy Z Flip 3. I actually do need to send it back. I think I've said that like 7 times. The last 7
Send
times.
It to me. Tell them you're sending it to me.
And Patrick, like, I like it. I really do. But when I reviewed the phone, I said that this was not the form factor that I would be carrying because of how it slows me down a little with my use.
Because of having to open it, or okay,
yeah, opening it up to like take a photo. It's just not. It's not as fast as you might actually think, as opposed to just like popping up and taking a photo with a regular phone.
It's been so long since you've had to unfold a phone. You forgot how annoying that process actually is.
Very true. And back then, we didn't rely on those phones to like capture the precious moments of our growing children. Right. So it was like, I do think that what's going to happen is like this phone is very much marketed towards a younger user, and if you wanted something a little more like grown up, you would get the Fold, so to speak. So I do think that Samsung's going to continue with that sort of like classification as they have, whereas I would hope that what Google would put out would be something that's a little more, I don't know, universally minded, just something that maybe a person like me would actually consider.
Right. I looked at a couple of them and I just remember being my phones all go into pockets, And there's literally not one I've seen that I could actually fit in any of the pockets I have without being worried about completely destroying it. In part because I weigh too much, and in part because the phones are too thick. And ever since what I will affectionately refer to as the terrible iPhone 6 issue, which is where I managed to bend and crack the screen on an iPhone 6 within 5 days of the initial purchase. Yeah, I went on a long and extended bitter series of rants about technology being too thin in general, and this one being spectacularly too thin in particular. But I really I love the idea of having the big screen, especially now that I have to wear reading glasses and I'm really tired of type I can't read. So the idea of having a bigger screen to scroll things out on sounds fantastic, but I would have to figure out an entire subset of infrastructure in my life to figure out actually how to carry one of those. Possibly involving belt holsters or reaching into my backpack to get my phone, which, as you point out,
they're coming back. They're coming back, Patrick. you know about this return to the old way of doing things, like wired headphones are in. That's why flip phones are having a resurgence. It's apparently
for
all
some
because
of us,
Gen
wired
Z,
headphones never went away.
I mean,
likewise, right here, man. Here, I've got my $9.99 Sony earbuds that are my podcasting friend, because guess what? They always work, and I can always hear everybody. I don't, so. And when they break or I lose them, they're only $9 on Amazon. So or Walgreens.
Anyway, I apologize, Patrick. I totally interrupted you.
No. But I get it. It's funny though, right? Because it's one of those things where it looks. I look at it. I'm filled with, to use a phrase from my friend Darren, a little techno lust. I'm like, man, big screen, folds open, cool, and I get one, and I look at, my pants pocket, and I look at this phone, and I look at my pants pocket, and I look at this phone, and I'm like, this will not fit. And then I think about, okay, how would I carry it? And as you point out, okay, this is, I'm going to, I didn't even think about the idea that you have to open it up to take a picture, and how many things I would miss as a result of having to, wrestle my phone out of my holster or my backpack, pull it out, fold it up, wait for it to, is it fairly flow? Is it fairly instantaneously once you flip the thing open, or is there some sort of or is it pretty much the same kind of function? Does it become useful as quickly as your regular phone, I guess? He said awkwardly with poor word choice.
Yeah, because Samsung did a lot of software smarts to make the phone, just because when it's opened halfway, it'll offer you a certain set of options for the UI and that sort of thing. So it feels intuitive, at least on the flip. I'll say. Okay,
good.
Yep.
We'll see how Google makes it though with this 12L situation that's going on, because
I want to see what their additive factor to the world. And Patrick, your point about actually carrying one, that has always been my hesitancy, and we're going to get to it in a future story too. But in terms of the thickness, even I kind of laugh at myself because, we were talking in the pre-show about music and back in the day and earlier stuff like that. And in my halcyon punk days of the early 90s, wearing very oversized baggy jeans, I think a thick phone would be fine. Yes. But now I find myself in my mid 40s, and it appears as if my pandemic reaction has been designer jeans that just seem to get tighter and tighter. And I actually have a hard time fitting a Pixel 6 in my pocket.
Ron, designer jeans.
Well, no, I've gone from spending as little as I can on jeans to, that looks like a fair purchase.
They don't even put pockets on women's pants anymore. So at least you guys still have pockets.
But what is with that? Yeah. Why do women not get pockets?
Because they want us to accentuate our bodies for other people to look at, because we are nothing but things in this world.
It's just, but can't you have pockets? My wife wears overalls a lot now, and in part that is because she gets pockets, like ones she can actually put things in and use.
That's why I wear a bathrobe around the house. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bathrobe
big
with pockets.
Mm-hmm. You can even fit a flip phone.
Oh boy!
You can even fit a flip phone. But I love foldables.
It's very thick.
I love foldables, and I want to see Google's foldables so badly. I'm very excited for this. So we'll see what happens. But,
Make it happen, Google. I'll tell you what they also made happen. So if you fall asleep to the Google Assistant's white noise at night, it might, well, maybe it'll sound a little different to you. So it turns out, and this started going on last week. So people are missing the old white noise from the Google Assistant. Now, apparently, I actually wrote this up today for Gizmodo, and apparently it's been fixed. But before we get to that, so what happened was some folks who really rely on that "Hey G, play some white noise" command to fall asleep at night realized that the length of the white noise they used to listen to was shorter, and that the white noise they were hearing was like a little more muffled than what they were used to listening to. And
they went to pink noise instead of white noise?
Well,
seems like it.
No,
Seems like it.
Actually. Yeah. No, I know that's what we think, but I don't know if that's exactly what happened, because the thing is, there is like a difference between pink noise and blue noise and white noise, as I learned after buying my kid a sound machine so she could fall asleep. But I did that because I was afraid to trust the smart speaker to do that job for me.
You know what was so funny, Flo, is that when my kids were born, I put the Google Home in their room because, and they when they were infants, and would say, play white noise, because we knew that's just us to do, and it would end, and then they would wake up, and that was and so then I found like on YouTube like 8 hours of white noise, and I would Chromecast it from my phone to the thing, and then finally I just broke down and bought one of those $20 noise machines, and I was just like, whatever, this is getting the job done. I don't have to worry about it. And that's still in their rooms today. So
absolutely.
I tried to use Google for this, and that didn't work. So.
See, and the thing is, Ron, that you and I would probably be the persons that were in the forum with these other folks, because a lot of them were parents complaining that their kids could tell the difference between the old white noise and the new white noise. Which is why this actually took off, is because so many people were complaining that members of their household were disrupted by this apparent change in white noise. So Google, I guess, they responded with a comment today, or with a statement that they had apparently fixed it. So apparently there was let's see, let me read you the official statement, because this came in after we did the doc today. Let's see, where did I put it? There was an issue impacting our white noise experience, a spokesperson said. It's fixed now and working as it previously did. So.
All right there. So they rolled it back, basically.
We'll see. If anybody out there uses the white noise, if you notice that it was different or whatever, try it out. Let us know. We'd be curious.
I'd like to say something. White noise, I don't know how you can mess up white noise. It's literally something that's older than Google. It's the concept. It's just wow.
Well, I feel like this is you just tee this up for Patrick. Patrick, here it's.
I'm trying so hard not to go. Okay, so basic white noise in theory is it's static. If you think of looking at static on a television screen, if you're old enough to have seen static on a television screen, white noise is a completely random audio signal that has an equal intensity across all frequencies. And then there's pink noise and brown noise. And you can actually, if you remove or adjust the frequencies or the balance of frequencies, you could screw up the sound of white noise. I'm also laughing because I heard this this phrase, which I wish I had my laptop in front of me, from a guy who was talking about designing headphones, and he talked about I'll call it euphonic noise, but that's not really the second word I'm looking for is not noise. But he was talking about headphones that don't have don't have an accurate frequency response, but people like the frequency response they have, so they find those sort of euphonic. And people are really sensitive about the strangest things, and people get incredibly sensitive about their sleep routine. So I can totally buy into, if maybe it wasn't white noise, true white noise, and they made it true white noise, or maybe they did something to it, or they, tried to compress it, or whatever they did, people were paying. That I completely buy in. I mean, in theory, white noise should be white noise, but maybe it wasn't true white noise. And what does that mean?
I like the idea that it wasn't true white noise, and they made it true white noise, and everyone wants the not true white noise because that's what they're used to. Like that's the best reality we could ask.
They just got really used to it, and that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny because when I gave up on the Google Home, I got one of those noise machines for my kids, and they shared a room for a while, and then we moved into the house we're in now, and they had separate rooms, and I got another machine for my daughter's room, but like she picked up, it was slightly different, and she's like, no, that's not the same.
Right.
Oh, no.
Crap. I couldn't find the one that I gotten from Amazon was gone, and I was like, God damn it! So it's all
on
fine
eBay. $400 later.
Listen, you will do anything for your child to sleep. Okay.
Exactly. I'm gonna back that up 100%. Patrick, you know.
My oldest woke up every 2 hours screaming for 6 months. The things I will, I right there with you.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
I do have to laugh because you guys would appreciate this, and not to make it a parenting podcast, but as a tie into podcast, one of my friends who works in tech recently had a baby, and her husband launched a podcast about parenting because, of course, that's what we do, blah blah. And she posted on Instagram stories. She's like, "Hey, question for the podcast: if you have a baby who like starts crying as soon as it lays down and isn't sleeping, what do you do?" And I just DM'd her. I'm like, "He has an ear infection." She's like, what? And I was like, and I explained it. And then like 2 days later, she's like, he does have an ear infection. So like, I love that like she needed parenting help, but did it under the guise of asking a question for her podcast. Right? Which is just saying my kid isn't sleeping. I need help. That's like the rest of us. None of us know what we're doing. It was very funny.
There's no manual.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no manual, no manual at all. Like this, it baffles me that we need to take a driver's test to drive a car. You need to take a test to become a network engineer, and yet anybody can have kids.
They just send you home with like a tiny little fragile thing, and then before you know it, they will refuse to sleep so like intensely that they will climb out of their crib. They don't care. They'll just climb out and fall to the ground.
All I had to do was agree that I wouldn't shake the baby, and then they let me go home with it. That's all I had to do. Yeah, I thought there'd be more.
Shake the baby and strap him into the car seat. Okay, you can leave. Like, all right, thanks.
Do you have a car seat? Yes. Are you going to put the baby in the car seat? Yes. Are you going to change the baby's white noise? No.
All right, well, moving on, going back to our earlier point in this conversation about phones fitting in our pockets. So Samsung is rolling out their latest flagship, $1,000 flagship phone, the Xperia 5. Is it the Xperia 5 III? Is that how you say this? Or Flo, it's the Sony Xperia 5 III. Sony
3.
Sorry, Sony. Yeah. The Xperia 5 III. Anyway, it's coming to the US market. Although they, we're calling this new, but they announced it like almost a year ago. So it's not really that new.
Supply chain.
But supply chain. We got some specs here for it. But I'll get to the most important spec at the end. It's running Snapdragon 888. With 8 gig of RAM, 128 gig of storage, 4,500 milliamp battery, a 6.1 inch, 120 hertz, 2520 by 1080 OLED display. It's got 3 rear cameras, a 12 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 12 megapixel 3x telephoto. But here's the spec that's worth looking at. It's 68 millimeters wide. So it is one of the most thinnest compact phones on the market. It's super tall. It's got a 21:9 aspect ratio display, but in terms of width, it's only 4 millimeters bigger than an iPhone 13 mini. So if you've seen an iPhone 13 mini and how thin how small that thing that is, this is thin. And of course, it's shipping with Android 11, but they promise an Android 12 update soon, which is just bananas. But that could fit in your pocket, Patrick, or Flo, even your non-pocket, it could fit in, I think. So.
Yeah, but the thing is these Sony phones are never available in this country. They just get announced, people stare at them, and then somebody has the conversation, will Sony make it in the US? And then I'm like, no, because you can't buy their phones anywhere.
They're always at Best Buy, Flo. They're always at Best Buy. Like they are out there. Yes, nobody buys them.
Best Buy. Who?
Nobody buys them.
I do.
But you can.
But once in a while.
I'm looking right now.
I go to Best Buy.
The Sony Xperia.
Once in a while?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch Sony cell phones. There's a whole section on the Best Buy website for Sony Xperia phones. So here it is, the Sony Xperia 5 III 5G with 128 gig of memory, unlocked, $999. Here you go, Burke. I'll throw it in the doc so you can show everyone to prove it. But you can go to Best Buy and you can buy a Sony phone tomorrow, Flo. You can do it if you had $1,000. So, and it's only
if I had $1,000.
68 millimeters wide. That's all it is. But they are available here in the US. It's not like it just nobody buys them.
That seems like it's going to be. Well, but it was like you couldn't buy them, then they'd be around, and then by the time they were around, everybody else was on to the next generation phone. I'm also, I don't know, I do not like 21:9 phones, which is unfortunate to be a phone user in this day and age. But that just sounds like it's going to be the most irritating phone to use. If I wanted to, I don't want a bookmark. I want.
You don't want a bookmark.
I want a phone.
Well, it seems like manufacturers are going that route of that elongated aspect ratio, whether we like it or not. So
probably to video, because they're just gonna keep delivering us video, and then we're gonna get let's see what else by the way, there's no interface on any of these Best Buy photos.
There's none. Right?
What is Android going to look like on this? That's what I would like to know.
It just has a really cool background with no icons on it. It's like,
maybe that means it's going to be a vanilla installation with no customizations that'll piss you off every single time you open your phone. Sorry.
Take us back to 2014.
Well, anyway, if you are out there, nice. If you're out there in the world and you are a proud Sony phone user, write into AAA at twit.tv, AA at twit.tv, and let us know, because I haven't. I mean, admittedly, as I've mentioned earlier, I don't leave my house because my battery drains. But if I did leave my house, I haven't seen anyone with a Sony phone on the subway, out on the street, anywhere. I've never seen a Sony phone in the wild. So yeah, there it is.
I've seen more Motorola phones in the wild than I've seen Sony phones. I'll say that.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of big brands, let's move on to Nvidia. I almost said Nvidia. Oof. Anyway. If you've got an Nvidia Shield, you might have received the Android TV OS 11 update, which would officially mean you're on Android 11. Yay! Congratulations. This is part of the Shield software experience upgrade 9.0, a very, very sexy version name, I have to say. Now, Android TV 11 this was actually, folks have been waiting for a long time on the Nvidia Shield platform. Now, this includes every one of their devices, including the original that they launched in 2015 is getting this update. Nvidia had actually skipped Android 10 for their Android TV devices and instead said, let's just go all in on this one. So you're going to get special features like one-time app permissions. You're going to get controller pairing. So now you can add an Xbox One controller and launch Xbox games that way, or an Apple TV remote if you want to watch.
Ooh.
This is just like wild. PlayStation.
So bizarre.
It's bizarre, but for some reason people are really excited, which I understand. Okay.
I like the Apple
Xbox,
TV remote. I mean, it's just
don't have experience with it, but I know that there are a lot of think pieces about it out there that are important to read.
Well done, Flo. Well done. I feel like a math teacher.
My generation in a nutshell. I do want to also bring up kind of something interesting. So this actually has support for GeForce Now RTX 3080, which is not the name of the graphics card that is named after, but the service that is named after the graphics card, so that when you pay for this service, you get essentially performance access that is relative to the abilities of this GPU on whatever streaming set-top box that you're on, that is NVIDIA, I guess. So this is kind of interesting considering Google TV / Android TV is also the platform where Stadia is supposed to really take center stage. So it's interesting to see all of this like leaning into the third-party game cloud control situations that are going on versus, but that's Android, right? It stays open.
I have one of these. So I could not get anybody to buy my Nvidia Shield because I bought one.
What? I'll buy it off of you. I want one.
Well, I have a first generation one, but I'm laughing because I'm like, oh, this is the update I've been waiting for apparently. Yeah. So I'll be digging through the boxes in storage to find that because this is actually compelling. And the 3080 membership is actually compelling, given that I'll probably never be able to buy a GPU again in my life.
Correct.
Thanks, Crypto.
Correct. Make plans now.
Yeah, smart. I will say that first generation Nvidia Shield we taught Flo last week. We talked a lot about the Android Hall of Fame. Was it last week or a couple weeks ago? But if I remember correctly, the Nvidia Shield first gen is like under strong consideration for the Android Hall of Fame in terms of like being an important game changing device. So Patrick, you should hold on to that. I think that could be worth something.
Yeah, someday it'll be worth something. Pay the kid's semester of college. Well, no, but it was one of those things where it was so close in so many ways, and there was a huge amount of horsepower under the hood, but there were no applications to do the vast majority of what I wanted to do with it at the time. And then it just got put in a drawer, and then it was like a year later, and it got put back in the box, and I will revisit it. I suddenly feel a profound need to see, now that it seems to be a complete environment for the living room home entertainment system.
Patrick, you don't need to move fast because the thing is that there have been some reports of complaints, some issues with the NVIDIA update. So, Android 11 for the Nvidia Shield is apparently breaking some apps and some Plex servers, which if anybody who is on Plex understands that also.
But it's not going to break my Seek thermal cam, so I can upgrade it with impunity. It's just sitting in a box now. Yeah. But I do appreciate the warning.
They're thinking that scope storage, which is a feature that was introduced in Android 11, might have something to do with this, just the way that Android is now handling file directories and file storage. So I imagine there will be an update that will. Yeah,
when you think about it, Plex is very file transferring intensive, right? Connecting to that server and that sort of thing. And
one wrong letter in the wrong spot.
And like, I have to imagine what scope storage does in the TV version of the OS. You know what I mean? Because like, you got to manage files much different than you do in the phone because it's a singular purpose, right? It's like app functions, app controls, data storage, and then massive amounts of media files, right? And so a change in Android 11 introducing scope storage potentially could get in the way of all that. So then the question is, it's a chicken and the egg. Is it an Android 11 problem or is it the developer's problem because they didn't accommodate for that? So the like Plex and the other apps. So who knows? I don't know.
Who knows? We'll find out.
Yep. I do love Plex. And Patrick, I do got to give a little respect now that you're on the show because I cite you often whenever we talk about smart TVs and no. And I back in the dog patch, back in 2007 when you told me, buy a dumb monitor and plug stuff into it. And how that rule still applies because you might end up with a TV that they stop updating and the software never gets updated and that sort of thing, right? So, so thank you, Patrick.
I mean, it's a lot. You're welcome. I mean, it's a lot better now with and it's something we talked about because at one point I do a podcast, AVXL with Robert Heron, and Robert and I were arguing one day and it was kind of like, outside of the Roku TVs, which are fairly well maintained, even the most expensive televisions, it would seem like they would just that Android phone you got, there was kind of an update and there were never any updates. It was a cheap phone. You didn't expect much and you didn't get much, but it still ran until you realized it was so frustrating to watch even these incredibly expensive televisions get minimal updates. It's a little better now, but my advice is still like set it to HDMI 1 and plug a Roku or an Apple TV or, for example, an Nvidia Shield TV. But it's also been, somebody was tweeting today that they couldn't actually not sign in and give all of their information to their new LG TV. And I'm still trying to get to the bottom of this, possibly in violation of California state law, privacy law. And I just remember being like, oh, yes, because it's frustrating because there's so much of the revenue generated on television platforms, and I'm getting way off track, I apologize, is done by monitoring, what you watch and how you consume it, and then repackaging and selling that information. But go for the dumbest TV you can, and then let Apple or Roku or, Nvidia gather all of your viewing information and resell it to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Your apps will be updated and your video will look nice.
And if they're not grabbing the information, then some other streaming provider is. Maybe Hulu's grabbing your information, or, Netflix.
Jeez.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I still, I know in the future, my wife and I were talking about, because we were driving today, and on Sirius XM, the Pearl Jam Even Flow from the MTV Unplugged came on, and I was like, oh man, I remember when this was on TV. And then we're like, yeah, because we all used to have cultural events that we all shared and say, hey, did you watch that thing last night? And we said yes or no, and except now it's either. So everything is so niche and so spread out that the thing I'm interested in, neither of you are interested in. Or if it is something that we share, there's no way we're watching it at the same time because we're time shifting. And so it's just
right. Do you believe in miracles? Oh, I saw the meme though. Sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I'll watch Succession like 5 years from now. Like anyway.
It's worth watching.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so awful. It's so good. Just stop there.
All right. So we will break here, and we will thank our next sponsor of the evening. And I'm so excited for this one. I want to thank Imperfect Foods for sponsoring this episode of All About Android. And how about a 3-for-1 New Year resolution? All right. Reduce food waste, save time on grocery shopping, and eat more fresh and delicious food. Think it's too good to be true? Well, think again, and it's time to try Imperfect Foods. Here's a cringeworthy stat to start 2022. Each year, 35% of the food supply goes unsold or uneaten in the U.S. It's disturbing, in fact. Imperfect Foods is working to turn this around by sourcing foods that would otherwise fall through the cracks of our food system. Combating climate change feels big and overwhelming. What can one person do? Actually, there's an easy and delicious way to make an impact. Imperfect Foods. Imperfect Foods is a grocery delivery service offering an entire line of sustainable groceries that taste delicious and reduce waste, just by embracing the natural imperfections in food. This is great. Visit imperfectfoods.com to see if they deliver in your area. Once you sign up, you can personalize your weekly grocery order with fresh seasonal produce, pantry staples, and yummy snacks. Plus, your order will arrive on the same day each week, making it easy to build a stress-free routine. On average, Imperfect Foods customers save 6 to 8 pounds of food with every order. And unlike on-demand delivery companies, Imperfect Foods delivers weekly by neighborhood, a unique model that produces 25 to 75% fewer emissions than individual trips to the grocery store. Plus, say goodbye to packaging guilt. Imperfect Foods is the only national grocery delivery company that makes it easy to return your packaging after every order. And I got to tell you, I mean, it is no mystery that I like food. I like to eat. I like food a lot. My wife and I joke a lot that we go to we're at the grocery store nearly every day because we're running out of something, or we're not planning appropriately, or something went bad, and all this sort of stuff. And the idea of a grocery delivery service is super, super attractive to me. But there's all those things: waste, aligning deliveries. I got to tell you, I used one of those home delivery meal services, and I can't get rid of the stuff they send it to me. My garbage people won't take it. The recycling people won't take it. It just seems imperfect. Luckily, Imperfect Foods is here to fix all that. I'm so excited about this service that they're offering. If you have a large family or a small family, whatever your food needs, they've got you covered with a lot of the staples and great foods that you love. So check out imperfectfoods.com, and it could totally change your life and help fight food waste, which it just sickens me. I'm just so glad somebody's doing something about it. So right now, Imperfect Foods is offering our listeners 20% off your first 4 orders when you go to imperfectfoods.com and use promo code Android. Again, that's 20% off your first 4 orders. That's up to an $80 value at imperfectfoods.com when you use promo code Android. Join the movement at imperfectfoods.com using promo code Android. And thank you, Imperfect Foods, because I like to eat and you bring me food. So good job. All right. With that, let's talk about a couple of quick apps things, because stuff happens with apps still. So. All right.
Well. If you've been on Twitter, then you've definitely been seeing nonstop Wordle posts of people posting their scores for the day of, which some networks are doing that. Some networks of folks and friends, and let people love what they love, but. We do have to remind you that this is a game that is played in the browser. It is not played in an app. So please do not download any Wordle apps from the Play Store because those aren't it. It's not happening. The game that you want to play is at powerlanguage.co.uk/Wordle. That is the only official game that is available. It's free to play. You just need a browser. And from there, you'll be able to share your stats. I do think that, don't download any Wordle apps. That's the PSA.
Yeah.
That's it.
There you go. The Wordle dude did it on a website. Go to the website and you're safe. There you go.
I don't want to complicate that. That's all we have to say about that. Don't download an app.
All right. There it is. Very simple. Going on back to streaming services. A little news about our friends over at Netflix. You might have heard it. It was all in the news, but they're raising their prices.
Again. Don't forget the again part.
The again part. Well, I have thoughts about this. So I'll go through the changes and we'll talk about this. So the standard plan, which allows for 2 simultaneous streams at any time, now costs $15.50 a month, up from $14. So $1.50 increase, or roughly the price of one movie ticket. Just putting it in context. The premium plan, which enables 4 concurrent streams and 4K content, is now $20 a month, up from $18, which is $2 increase. And that $20 a month is like the cost of a movie ticket at like Alamo or like a high-end movie theater if you have one in your city. And the basic plan, which allows a single stream and doesn't offer 4K, is now $10 a month, which is actually very affordable. And I feel like what Netflix used to cost. This is the second significant price increase since October 2020, when Netflix raised the prices of all plans by about $1 to $2 per month. And my commentary on this is that when you reach the end of the line of people that you can bring onto your platform, how else do you make more money? You raise prices, right? That's all you can do. Like how many users does Netflix have? Like everyone, right? Like, so it's not like
you don't think this is to buy more content.
When looking at no, I don't think this is to buy more content. I think they're spending enough money on content. But when you're looking at the user base of, double, triple digit millions of users, like how like from a business standpoint, a growing service like a subscription service, the phase of growth is like acquisition. You want to get as many people on your platform as possible, right? I don't have the latest count, so maybe Flo, because you're a real journalist, maybe you have it. But how many users does Netflix have these days? I'm Googling it now.
I am also doing that.
210 million?
210 million. This is as of October of last year. Let me see if I can find newer statistics.
Statista.
All right, that's fine.
Statista said 192 million paid subscribers worldwide as of the second quarter of 2020.
So the population of the United States is roughly 330 million, right? The population of Russia is 144 million, right? So there are more paid subscribers than there are people living in Russia. Right. Wow. And so part of the problem is that acquisition is no longer, you can't offer your service at a lower price to get more people because you've got everybody. Right. And so
I might point out that there are 7 billion people on the planet. So there's a gap there.
True. But how many people are in an area where their internet supports media? How many people are in India alone, and streaming services, bandwidth is a luxury or is a challenge, right? So in technologically advanced available, like you're going to reach a point where in order for them to, add shareholder value and do whatever, all they can do is increase the cost of the plan. That's all they can do.
Or Ron, they can keep doing hype house reality TV shows, just really get the Gen Z TikTok generation in there because it can really add to, subscriber count.
I will say that Netflix is, after you, Patrick.
I was going to say, so I just found an article on QZ.com that quotes a consulting firm, Omdia, which says Netflix has about 4.4 million subscribers in India, and they're dropping prices in India to boost subscriber numbers. So maybe. Yeah. So prices go up in some places, so they go down in others.
Right. So the
Netflix's
assumption,
scale is just so ridiculous. Sorry,
it's insane. So the assumption based off that, Patrick, is that in the U.S. they feel as if they've reached critical mass or whatever, like that, like the amount of effort it would take to acquire the people they haven't acquired. It's easier to just raise the price, and so it's a business decision. So. That said, I will say Netflix is probably the streaming service I watch the least of these days.
I absolutely agree. I watch HBO more often. I watch Paramount Plus, and that costs me only $6 a month. And I actually don't get served as I'm on like some weird ad plan. I don't know. I have like some legacy plan. But regardless, it's been an interesting journey because I've actually started covering streaming at Gizmodo, just like adding it on to my beats since. Well, it was I'm always talking about TV at work, so everybody's like, might as well just give you the beat here.
No, I just mean because it's been so insane to watch it if over the last couple of years, and especially like HBO Max is this insane treasure trove. People still don't know about the Criterion channel. I don't even know how I feel about Apple TV at this point. Like Maya and the 3 alone, I think justifies whatever I paid for it.
At least Apple's getting awards. They're getting some prestige, like, like when I think of Apple, I think of prestige TV. I'm sorry, I do.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's making it. Everybody's spending billions of dollars on content and making prestige TV now. It's a great time to be a television consumer, especially if you never sleep.
Which I don't because of, life in general. So again,
because you keep changing the white noise on the channel.
Exactly. Got to find some other white noise to fall asleep to. The screeching of middle-aged women on reality TV. Anyway, it's streaming, man. It's cable now. That's it.
Yep, it is. Streaming, man. It's the Chinatown of the 2020s. Forget it, Jake. It's streaming. All right, so that'll wrap us. I got Patrick. Hey. All right, that'll wrap us up for apps. And now the moment I've been all waiting for. We're gonna get into some of your feedback with your emails up next. So if you have a moment, email us at AAA@twit.tv. That's AAA@twit.tv. Or you can call in at 347-SHOW-AA and leave a voicemail. Or you can email us a audio file or a video file. Not enough if you do that. But now for what I call the main event. Flo, why don't you read our first email?
All right, here we go. First email. So this one's going to be an interesting one. Just listening to your recent podcast about the green bubble, quote unquote, what you fail to realize is it's not just the color of the text. It's the issue with dealing one Android users when everyone else has iMessage. The one Android person does mess up the text thread. They do. It messes the flow of everything we're responding to individual text or liking a text or even grouping text together. I do understand how RCS can be the answer, but that just came out. And you have to download Google's messaging app for it to work. Most Android users just use whatever came with their phone. RCS is not fully universal, so there's still a fragmentation issue with it, even if iMessage adopts it. Also, if you own a company, why would you not want your product to be successful? That is like asking Walmart to allow Target coupons to be used in their store. You should call Elon and tell him to allow all electric cars to use Tesla's charging stations. Elon, your Tesla's charging stations should be for everybody. I'm sorry. That's an infrastructure thing. A business is a business and not there for a charity. The only people that are complaining about this are Android users. So why would Apple have any thoughts on changing what makes their own customers happy? You can't get upset with Apple when Google failed to get any type of messaging service out there until today. They have tried about 13 times and they all failed. Hold on, there's more. If you want to beat Apple, then come out with something that can beat them and do your own thing instead of just complaining about how Apple's successful because what they came up with on their own is not being shared with the competition. What Apple is doing would be a dream of any business owner. And that's from Brad. That was
Brad.
Comment. I have comments, but I want to let you guys go.
Yeah, to catch you all up, we had a pretty heated conversation last episode about the article that came out, the Wall Street Journal article that was about how teenagers were choosing iOS devices over Android because of society pressures, and they don't want to be the green bubble and all that crap. And we shared Hiroshi Lockheimer's tweet about, we're not asking, we're just asking Apple to support RCS. That's all we're asking, which is kind of makes sense. So, Patrick, I'm dying to hear what you think of RCS and the current state of messaging and all this drama. So, and Flo, you as well too, but yeah.
I was laughing because I was thinking about, because I was reading about the furor online, and we are just in the process of taking our teenager from a Stone Age phone to a smartphone. And this is one of those moments where I'm really thankful we homeschool, because I don't have to deal with my son, being bullied because he's a green bubble, which is just so bizarre. But I was laughing because I realized the vast majority of people I deal with outside of my immediate family are all running Signal, because they're all security freaks and they all want an end-to-end encrypted app that is not owned by Facebook. And, and then I have some other friends where we're a mixture of Apple and Android, and nobody complains. So part of me is just like, yeah, RCS sounds great. Sounds like it's doing a lot of what Apple's already doing. Texting still mostly sucks across all applications, and I don't particularly. It would be nice. I don't know. I feel disappointing, but I was mostly laughing that the vast majority of the people I know actually choose Signal over anything that's controlled by Android. Basically anything that's Android, Google, or iOS or Apple, I guess I should say.
That's interesting, because because it's funny, because the way I look at it is that how this is kind of developing is that you have a pseudo tribal kind of approach by those who know.
Sure.
Right. And whether it's Signal or Telegram or WhatsApp or whatever the message, or Discord or whatever the platform it is, your tribe is settling on this area where the communication is equal, or everyone's on the same footing of how the app works and all that sort of stuff, with varying degrees of interest in encryption and security and safety. I mean, Patrick, you say Signal, my family and the majority of my friends are on WhatsApp, right? We're all doing it there on WhatsApp, right? I know a lot of people who swear by Telegram for the same reasons and things like that. But then you have everyone else, and unfortunately, everyone else is the majority of users out there, and that's what includes, my in-laws and my aunt and uncle in-laws who just have the phone and want it to work and don't understand why I'm a green bubble and they're not, and all this sort of stuff, right? And explaining Signal to them is probably a hill that's too tall to climb, right? But
my mom's adoption of computers when she started using them after retirement at age 63, 64 has been spectacular. But when as I go back and forth between iOS and Android, mostly I'll just get like, why are you green? Because she runs iPhones, and I'll be, I'm on Android. And then she goes, oh, and we never discuss it again. So part of me is, I don't know if I feel like this is a tempest in a teapot, or if maybe this is like, oh, a telecommunication standard used globally, is stuck back in the Stone Age because it's a global telecommunications standard and they all suck until someone drags them kicking and screaming into the future. And will this one be there? I think of all of the problems we have with, this just seems, I'll read that Wall Street Journal article again, but it's mostly, maybe it's just that my world is so narrow, or me and my friends are just so old we don't care anymore. But it just seems like, Jimmy's on Android and he's a green bubble and Joey's not, and this and that. And mostly we just get frustrated when somebody changes platforms and, their messages disappear because they can't. Because they're still locked into, I don't know. It's been interesting to watch.
My favorite was Saturday Night Live made fun of this in Weekend Update. They talked about this article, and the joke was very well done and nuanced, and was actually making fun of iOS users. And I believe the punchline was, iOS users, so Android should stop being so cheap and buy a real phone, right? Like that, kind of thing. And my cousin, who's been bullying me for being on Android, and he's on iOS and wants the whole family to be on iOS, posted that on Instagram stories and tagged me with the laughing emoji. And I reposted it. And I'm like, here's a great example of an iOS user trying to bully an Android user and not getting the underlying joke is about the iOS user. It was a glorious moment. But Flo, where do you net out on this debate? I mean, I have a sense, but I can only imagine.
Yeah, the Wall Street Journal thing I think is incredibly manufactured. I just feel like we just talk about that story right before the pandemic? That was like a thing.
We did.
So it's old news. And by the way, where are children hanging out? Because we're in the middle of a pandemic. Like, never mind. I don't think that Google did a good job with its messaging strategy over the years. I agree with that. But I have moved on from this. I really have. I use other messaging apps. It's fine. In fact, there's so many apps in my life now that I have to actively turn them off so that I can keep myself just, constantly checking in. So I think it's fine. And whatever that happened on Twitter, I think was just
a
siren call. It's a siren call.
Well, I will say, in reading Brad's email, our emailer, Brad, I actually do agree with you. Believe it or not, I do agree with you in your last line where you say what Apple's doing is the dream of any business owner. And that's 100% it. And that goes against my whole thing, which is I still can't believe my belief is this, but in the spirit of shareholder value and capitalism has driven a wedge in society and created a very, nasty kind of reality for a lot of people, in varying degrees. But I'm not surprised.
Wait till you learn about Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question for you guys. Why, if Apple really wanted to fix this, couldn't they just make all the bubbles blue or green, just one color? That's it, and then nobody would ever know the difference. And then this manufactured sort of weird.
But would they encrypt all of the?
But I just mean about the ostracism about kids.
But that changes. But that changes the positioning. You don't want to be a green bubble. You want to be the blue bubble. But and they're creating that sense of value.
Totally.
And So they're not going to. Yes, you're right. They could fix it by just making it all one color. Patrick and Flo, I joked last week. I said this feels like the Star Trek episode with the guy with one half of his face black and the other side white. Right, and he doesn't like the other guy because he's got one side white, one side black. It's so.
I've never seen Star Trek.
Oh, Flo,
I'm sorry.
Really?
That's
really.
What
Flo?
do you watch on Paramount Plus?
I know.
Jesus
Christ.
I know. It feels like a really huge undertaking because it's like a whole thing. So that's why I have
Ron, you have to
never
explain
done it.
the point then. To her.
It's not. I'm sending you, Flo, a link on Paramount Plus to the episode I'm talking about, and just watch that. You don't need. You don't need to watch.
I'll do that. I will do that.
Yes.
Yeah. All the other episodes are basically the same thing.
Yeah, basically, it's true.
I have a Star Trek plan. It's just not for my life.
But
right
here's
now.
Here's the thing with Star Trek, and we're totally off base now. With Star Trek: The Original Series, you don't need a plan. Just pick one. Just dive right in.
Start watching Flo.
Yeah.
Start.
So if I wanted to just start with Captain Janeway, I should just start.
Yes.
With Captain
No.
Yes.
Star Trek.
Don't listen to Ron. Start with
Star
Voyager.
Trek: The Original Series. Star Trek: The Original Series. All for the most part, all the episodes are self-contained. All you need to know is
go forward and then backwards.
Burke,
newest first, and then
don't you have buttons?
Okay, I'm
to
going to
push?
mute myself, but you're leading Flo down the wrong path. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not at all. What makes you think I'm leading Flo down the wrong path?
Because the newer episodes are way better. All the newer series. That's it. Mute.
Anyway,
He's gone.
It's a different
Like
podcast. It's a different podcast. Yeah. Anyway,
Burke just came in and dropped and left.
So all right, I'm Flo. I just sent you the link to that.
Okay.
So Okay, cool. All right, well, we're going to move on because we're running out of time. All right, our next email comes from Sean, who says, I'm very interested in replacing the Nest audio speaker that I have in my kitchen with the Nest Hub Max, but there's one main concern I have that's causing me not to pull the trigger to purchase it. That concern is recipes. Currently, I keep all my personal recipes in Synology's DS Notes. Now I know I can't access DS Notes from the Nest Hub, but I'd be willing to move my recipes over to, say, Google Keep, if I knew for sure that I could access Google Keep from the Nest Hub. I've searched this topic on the internet and can't find a definitive answer as to whether this is possible. So I was wondering if anyone on the AAA team has a Nest Hub and can confirm to me that you can or can't access Google Keep. I think you can access recipes from some websites on the Nest Hub, but that doesn't help or interest me. If I have no way to access my recipes, then I don't see the benefit in making the change. Any assistance to answer this question will be greatly appreciated, Sean. And so I'm so happy because, Patrick, you help people on a daily, weekly basis. You've been doing it for years. It is rare that I actually have the know-how or the ability to help someone. So I actually went to my Nest Hub in the kitchen and I tried to access my Google Keep, and I have a video of what happened. If Burke wants to roll that with the audio, you could hear this. So roll the video, Burke.
Show me my lists on Keep.
You have one list called My Shopping List. Sorry, I looked for on Keep, but couldn't find it. Do you want to see all of your lists?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't understand.
So it's just pretty much that happened every time. Every time you can stop the video now, Burke. So every time I tried to say, "Hey G, show me my lists" or whatever, it just quit. It couldn't figure it out. And so I felt, Sean, I was like, oh God, no, the answer is no, you can't do it. Then I dug in a little because I remembered that you could, and actually you can. And the difference is, and the unique thing here, and Burke, I shared some screenshots to show how to do this. You want to go into your settings for Assistant, right? And then what you want to do is scroll down to, I believe it's Notes and Lists. And the next screen, yes, Notes and Lists. And there you can specify. When I did the Google, when I told Google, show me my list, it showed me the shopping list in Assistant, right? So Google Assistant has a shopping list set up. So you can say, add milk to my shopping list, and adds that. That is not connected to Keep. But Burke, if you go back to the screenshot for our video viewers, for the second one, you can specify which notes and lists provider you use, and you can choose Google Keep. And so then what happens is that you're able to go to your Nest Hub, and instead of saying, show me my lists like I was doing on Google Keep, have it say, show me my notes on Google Keep. And it brought up all my notes on Google Keep. I didn't want to show that because I have a lot of sensitive information. It's where I keep like my known traveler number, my kids' social security numbers and stuff like that, but it worked. So the keyword is, hey G, show me my notes on Google Keep, but you have to go into your Assistant settings and choose Keep as your preferred notes provider, or you could use AnyDo or AnyList. There's a whole bunch of other apps that are there and available, but you are able to identify Google Keep to connect it to Assistant, and then that is accessible on your Nest Home Hub. So there you go. And I apologize to anybody who I triggered your devices with by running that video. I forgot about that. We're going to ask.
I'm just laughing because I'd forgotten that Google Keep exists, and I opened up keep.google.com. And there's all of the examples that Google gives you. Like, this is how useful we are. Look, here's the list. And I have a black flag logo stored there.
Nice. I use my Google Keeps notes is like packed with stuff. Like packed. Like I can't live without Google Keep.
Mine is just like, I don't want to tell you what's in mine. It's sensitive material, though. I'll say that.
Well then.
Hey.
Said it with a straight face. So
passwords, guys, and stuff like that. Not
passwords.
You know, the logins to all the podcasts that I run. So don't go there. Don't touch my keys.
All right. Flo, why don't you, since you're back, giving you the honor of our final.
Here we go. We're gonna go with the. Email of the week. I also need to work on my queuing. Thank you, Burke. All right. Here it is. Here we go. Was listening to episode 559 and heard the issues with scanning a QR code with your camera. I am a Pixel A line user and I have just always used Google Lens to scan QR codes and have never had a problem. This is good and bad. It is good because I have gotten to the point of just opening Google Lens when I see a QR code. It is bad because it just shows how fragmented Google is and how one app does a great job of something and how another app that is supposed to do that same job struggles to do so in an acceptable manner. I'm an Android faithful, but it does get annoying learning the little workarounds that should be seamless. Stephen Duke. Well, we actually got a response about this from another listener. So thank you to this answer that we are going to read for doing the work for us. This one comes from Joel, and Joel says, heard on your last show about bad experiences with QR code readers. I use Firefox for Android built-in reader, and it is greased lightning. Sometimes all it needs is a partial read to get me to the page. Easy to use too. Just open a new tab and tap below and scan. More often than not, it works 100%. And bonus, you get a browser you can install uBlock Origin for that ad-free experience. I love that, Joel. Thank you so much for sharing that. I just realized this is actually a great workaround because one of the issues with Google Lens doing the QR code scanning is once it scans in, let's say you're going to an exterior link, if you use more than one browser, it can be kind of annoying to like remember to choose which browser every time. Let's say if you don't have one set as a default. So at least in this case, you could just like hop into Firefox, do the scanning, and then it'll open the page. So Joel has helped Steven today. And that's why this was our email of the week.
Emails of the week. Emails. I love the community helping the community.
Exactly.
And I also love the fact that it's 2022 and like QR codes are not only like still kicking, but actually like a real valid way of communicating now. So,
now it's how you get your menu at like most restaurants because they've done away with the paper menu. So, yeah. Cool. Anyway, wow. Well, I guess that concludes it for us.
Yeah. So just before we wrap up the email, don't forget you can email us at AAA@twit.tv. That's email us at AA@twit.tv. And you could be the email of the week as well, maybe. So. All righty. Well, Patrick Norton, the Patrick Norton, thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you tell everybody about what you've been doing lately, where they can find you, and continue to follow your amazing career.
Oh, well, wow. I feel like I have to live up to the promises you just made. Right now, the best place to catch up with me is AVXL, AVEXCEL.com, or just search for AVXL on your favorite podcatcher. Robert Heron and I talk about home theater and personal audio, television screens, projectors, speakers, headphones, earbuds, all that good stuff. And we talk about it each and every week. And on Twitter, I'm still at Patrick Norton.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us this week.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
Flo, where can people find you these days?
People can find me at gizmodo.com. I forgot to put in my links, but actually I have a handy link, flowrights.tech, if you would like to go see all of my articles that have recently posted at gizmodo.com. You can just go head there. That is my author page. And then, of course, as you know, I do host other podcasts besides here, all about Android. So you can find me on Gadgets every week, which is Gizmodo's Gadgets podcast. I host that with Caitlin McGarry, and we would love for you to come give us a listen. And I'm also still hosting material on the Relay FM network with Andy and Notco. So do tune in if you want more Android and Google news from me. What about you, Ron? What are you up to?
You can still follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at RonXO. And if you're into pinball, go check out Scorebit.io. You can download the Scorebit app in the Google Play Store for your Android phone, where you can keep track of your pinball scores, find places to play pinball. And if you have a piece of our hardware in your pinball machine or your friend's pinball machine, it will automatically save your scores, as well as all cool stuff, fun stuff that we're working on. We just figured out how to make your name show up on the display of a 90s pinball machine wirelessly, which is pretty cool. Ooh. If you knew all the behind the scenes tech behind doing that, it would blow your mind. But it's once you say I'm playing this game, it comes up as player one, Ron. And it's pretty cool. So go check that out at scorebit.io and go play pinball. It's fun. So All right. Well, that's going to wrap us up for this week. Thank you to Burke for on the ones and twos for getting everything done behind the scenes. We appreciate it as always. And if you like the show, if you like all the other great programming at Twit, you should check out Club Twit. It's our ad-free subscription tier. You get all the Twit shows with no ads, as well as an exclusive Twit Plus podcast feed with tons of extra content. And you get access to the members only Discord, which is hopping, which is awesome. And is doing an amazing job in there. So much great interaction with all the hosts and all the other great viewers and listeners. And you get all this for just $7 a month. That's half the price of Netflix. So and it's way more entertaining for sure. So go to twit.tv/clubtwit, get in there. It's the place to be. But yeah, yay Twit. So Flo, why don't you take us home?
Well, that's it for this week. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. And again, another thank you to Patrick Norton for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure having you here. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I also just want to add a slight note that I love the greenery in your background. It's just, I really like the way you placed the plant right behind you.
It's a cat tree. If we're really lucky, a cat sneaks out of it. It's a temporary rearrangement while I'm rebuilding some bookshelves.
Well, I was just saying, it's a very smart way. I like it. So, see? Yeah, nice little green.
There it is.
Looks like Patrick's in the jungle. Ooh. Winging from vine to vine. Anyway, you can catch this podcast in your podcatcher of choice, wherever you get podcasts. Oh, we are there. We publish every Tuesday evening. So right after this, you'll be able to catch us again, wherever you get your podcasts. You can subscribe to us at twit.tv/AAA. You can get all of the links there. Again, to your podcatcher of choice, wherever you get your podcasts, you can get us. As Ron mentioned, we do still take voicemails here at All About Android. So if you would like to leave us a voicemail, we're at 347-SHOW-AAA. So give us a call. We will listen. We're here for you. You can also send us an email, AAA@twit.tv. And I guess that's it from us. I am really glad to be here, and we'll see you again next week. Bye, everybody.
So long, friends.
Have you ever read a tech news story and thought to yourself, man, I would love to talk to the person who wrote this to find out more information? Well, that's exactly what Micah Sargent and I, Jason Howell, do each and every week on Tech News Weekly. We read the stories that matter to us, we reach out to the people making a break in the tech news, and we invite them on to tell their story. And you can find it at twit.tv. Look for Tech News Weekly every Thursday.